Hey, Rob, how are you?
Good, Mike. How you doing?
Good, Rob. I was just wondering the way that you constructed the roster around LeBron and AD the past two seasons, how that impacted the way that you built this roster and what you found to be most important across that time.
Yeah, I think going into the draft and free agency, there were really three primary goals and objectives that we wanted to accomplish with the roster. One was adding playmaking or a primary playmaker. Two was shooting. And then three was shifting back to, especially defensively, a model of sort of two rebounding defensive centers like we had when we won the championship in 2020. And those were the goals we had in mind. And I think if you look at the complexion of the roster, we feel like we addressed each of those three goals. And that was something we set out to do. So we feel good about that.
And then, Rob, understandable focus around and interest in Russell Westbrook coming in, but I want to ask you about Anthony Davis. He had cited how last offseason being so short had a definite impact on him. Just wonder what you've seen this offseason from him and what expectations that you kind of collectively have for what his season's going to be coming up.
You know, AD's a quiet worker. He goes about his business, and I think he's been in the building a few times, and all of us can just tell the work he's put in and how serious he is about it. I guess he's added wedding singing to his repertoire too, which is exciting. We were all at his wedding and enjoyed him serenading his bride. But I think when you get into AD's mindset, I think there's two primary goals. One is to win a championship for sure. He talks about that with this team. And then two is he knows that he belongs to be in that saying of the most dominant and the best two-way player in the game. And I think he has the skills and he is that player. And he worked very hard this offseason. I think you'll see him accomplish those two things with this season, in my opinion.
All right, Dave McMenamin, please.
Hey, Rob, good to see you. What's the vaccination status of your team, and what do you expect the availability to be for your roster as training camp opens up?
You know, we've worked really hard with our UCLA health partners and our team doctors and players and agents and family members. And we will be on opening night when we play the Golden State Warriors. All of the players that are currently signed on our roster that night will be deemed fully vaccinated. And we're really we're grateful for that. I think just in collaboration again with UCLA and the doctors and people internally, we will be grateful that we won't have interruptions caused by unvaccinated status of a player or a staff member.
Thank you.
All right, Kyle Goon.
Hey Rob, good to see you. Kind of a two-part question. A lot of guys kind of describe the grind of last year and just with all the restrictions and various limitations. Well, one, what do you expect to kind of get back this year with some of those being lifted? And two, what kind of sort of daily culture do you anticipate having in the building with this roster?
Yeah, I think we're incredibly excited, obviously, with the guidance of the local authorities and with the state. But we're excited that it looks like Staples Center will be full with Lakers fans for opening night, obviously in a safe way and following all the guidelines. But just more than anything, and talking with our guys, just getting the energy of our fans back is going to be incredible. You know, maybe one of the bright spots for the start of the season. It was a hard grind to play night after night without, our fans, and I think it takes a toll. So we're grateful to be in a place where we can play the Warriors again on opening night in Staples Center and plan to do that in a safe way with our fans there cheering on this team. And I know Coach has talked about Russell and the first game and being at home and all the energy he brings. We may have to take a timeout after 90 seconds because he'll be so gassed up to get going. But I just think overall this team, the way we built it, the energy that Lakers Nation brings night in, night out, and Staples Center is going to be a key ingredient to our success.
All right, Brad Turner, please.
How you doing, Rob? What's up, man?
I hope you're having duck from lunch from your recipe and that you got when you were in Paris.
Well, I think that'll happen on Sunday. So
Okay, all right, football Sunday.
Right. You know, we keep talking about everybody on your team except for LeBron James. And I'm just curious, have you seen him much at the facility, and what does he look like, and what are you hearing about his whole approach and attitude about this season?
I have. LeBron's been in working hard, working really early in the morning, and I think the thing that stands out is just his fitness level, and he slimmed up. I think, we all know LeBron studies the greats, and he adds things into his game, and I think going into this stage of his career, he's made a decision to come back a little bit leaner, and I think that's going to translate in his explosiveness and quickness. But he's been very, very locked in with his training, and you just get a sense he has a confidence in his teammates. He really does. I think when he looks around the locker room and sees the nameplates or with the guys he's been on the court with, you can just tell he has a high level of confidence in his teammates and what this team could accomplish this season if we all lock in. I think the big word is mindset. What will the mindset of all these players be? We have 13 guys signed to contracts, and it just feels like this group realizes that everyone's going to have to set a little bit of a personal thing or a selfish desire aside to come together and have the mindset of, how do I make the guy next to me in the locker room great? And it just feels like that's LeBron's mindset right now with his teammates, and that he has a belief.
All right, we'll go over to Bill Oram, please.
Afternoon, Rob.
Hey, Bill.
In Melo, you've got a guy who's 10th leading scorer of all time. First ballot Hall of Famer when the time comes. He's been kind of linked to the Lakers over the years at various times. I'm curious what, in your mind, made, from your perspective, he shared this a few weeks ago when we spoke to him, but what made this a good fit for you guys, and why this was the right time for him, and what you've seen from him around the gym over the last however long he's been around?
We had to get McMenamin a Syracuse Orangeman because he's been badgering me about that for the last 3 years. But putting that aside, to seriously answer your question, one of the ingredients that we felt like we really missed last year was just guys that were lasers that could space the floor and make catch and shoot. And if you look at AD and when he gets double teamed, or when teams collapse the paint against LeBron, and obviously now with Russell Westbrook, just having, to me, one of the greatest catch and shoot guys that has played in recent times. And most of that is just because of his confidence level. I think if you go back to the Olympics when Melo played such an incredible role on that team, with just his ability to make open shots. I think there's some players, when you play with people like LeBron or Russell, maybe when that open ball is kicked to you, it's a little bit heavier. But Melo, I don't think he's paying attention to who's throwing him the ball. He's just getting it, and he's locked in to convert. And then he has other dimensions to his game too. I'm not trying to minimize him into a catch and shoot player, but that's an elite skill he has. And I think the other underrated parts of his game are just, he's still so physically strong and imposing. I think just when he puts his body on players in the post, he can continue to have his way and could continue to be a rebounder with his size. So those ingredients together, I think, are going to make him a really good fit.
Thanks, Rob. I'm still waiting for my first Montana Grizzly, by the way.
I was actually in Montana this summer, and it's a great state. Went and saw Coach Phil Jackson at his house, and I'll start scouting more in Montana. It's pretty beautiful.
Your class professionalism. I think one of the things I was wondering, in terms of your cap situation this offseason, did you view kind of Talon and Caruso is sort of an either-or situation, based on sort of the tax that you guys will be running up into as a roster. And I guess what made you want to invest in Talon? What did you see? What do you think you will see going forwards with that player?
We made an aggressive attempt to re-sign Alex Caruso, and we made an aggressive attempt to keep Talon. And that's the thing with unrestricted free agency is you can be in the mix, but players, control the ultimate choice. And Alex was tremendous here as a championship player, and we'll be forever grateful for his contributions and his growth, and seeing him go from a G League to a two-way to a elite player was something we'll always be proud of. But he had choices, and he chose another team. But we pursued him and wanted to keep him. Same with Talon, and obviously came to a deal with Talon, and Alex moved on. But we had a plan to take some of the skill set that Alex brought to the table and find that in other free agents that were available. And I think if you look at how we ended up, filling out the roster, it was important for us to be strong in all the different basketball categories, and we felt like we dimensionalized that with some of the other guys we signed.